Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Benny right here, and in today's video I will be sharing with us a step-by-step tutorial on how to sew this Milkmaid corset top that I am wearing. In my last tutorial I shared with you guys the pattern drafting, which I will link down in case you haven't seen it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so, and let's get started in the video. So here are the pieces that we created from our last video. So if you haven't checked it out, please do so you're not confused on what we're doing. So as seen, I've gone ahead to cut out lining pieces for all the pieces that we have. This is the back, the front, and the cup pieces. And right now I'm just unpinning the pattern from the pieces that we have. The next thing we will be doing is to iron stay to the fabric and the lining. I actually didn't iron to my lining because my lining was very thick and firm, so I didn't see the need to do so. If you are working with a lighter lining, please iron stay to it. So right now I'm working on the cup pieces first. And what I'm doing is arranging the lining to the cup fabric and pinning the side going towards the center, and then I will make a stitch there and did the same thing to the other cup as well. What you do on one cup you must do to the other. Please take note. So after making a stitch there, I made a top stitch towards the lining and flipped it over. Then I ironed it and pinned all the way around the cup, and I will sew along the sides that I pinned as well. So I have gone ahead to cut out this piece of fabric that is about 1 inch wide and long enough to work with. I folded the end so that it's not rough. Then I pinned it to the upper part of the cup, and then I will make my first stitch and flip it over, then sew along the bottom a gather stitch. So this is after my first stitch. I flip it over and I'm just using this piece to create a casing for our rope to pass through the upper part of the cup piece, and I just fold in the piece and sew along it and do the same thing on the other cup. So now we'll be working on the front corset piece, and the first thing we will do is to fold this piece into 2 equal halves. And now from the center I went in by 4 inches and did the same on the other side. I've already ironed out the middle, so it's easy for me to spot it. So I drew a straight line on the middle, and on the sides I drew a slanted line. Then I measured what I have at the end of the side so that both sides are the same, and then I just drew a slant line to meet the measurement. If you're confused on what I am saying, just watch what I'm doing in the video. It is very self-explanatory. So right now I'm just placing my bias tape on the lines that I drew out, and I'm pinning them down. You can decide how you want your lines to be. It doesn't necessarily have to be slanted. You can decide to make all of them straight. It totally depends on you. So I will just take this to the sewing machine right now and then make a top stitch on both sides of the bias. And when I'm done stitching it down, it gives me my casing for my bone. So as seen, I'm done stitching down on both sides of the bias, which has given me the casing for where I'm going to pass my bone. Now I'm going to be working on the ropes for the cups, and as you can see, I've already gone in to do 1 cup. So this is the rope that I'm going to be using. I just folded up a fabric that is about 27 inches long, and the width of the fabric is about 1 inch. I just folded it up together like a bias and sewed along it. So right now this is the rope I'm going to be working with, and all I'm doing now is using my safety pin to pass along the rope through the casing for the cup. So I pass it through the center and then I pin it at the armhole area. And you can easily just pull on the ropes to give you that gather effect. So off camera I already pulled on my gather stitch at the bottom of the cup to the exact measurement I needed it to be for the cup area, and then I'm arranging and pinning the cups to the center, making sure to start from the center of the corset towards the side, and then I make the same with the other cup. I made a stitch there. So after securing the cups with the body of the front, this is how it's looking like. And now I'm going to be placing my lining directly at the center, and then I will pin it to the sides. If you are a bit confused on what I am saying, please just watch what I'm doing, okay, so you don't get confused. So next I'm going to be working on my bones, and what I'm doing is passing my bone through the casing, and I made sure to leave roughly about 1 inch at the top so I can have stitching allowance. I also use my scissor to smoothen the end of the bones for easy passage and also for comfort. So once all of that was done, I folded my bustier in between the lining and the corset part of the front, making sure it's neatly arranged. Then I made a stitch there. After making a stitch, I flipped it over, and it wasn't the easiest thing to do, trust me, but you have to do it. And then after flipping it over, I just ironed it. So once I'm able to flip it over, I'm going to make a stitch right there and also at the other side. So now it is time to work on the back pieces, and I will be using the lining to turn the neck and the under of my back fabric. So right now, as seen, I am pinning down the necks, and what I'm going to do is just make a stitch at the top and also at the bottom, but I'm not going to make a stitch at the side and also at the armhole area. After all that is done, I flipped it over and pinned the side and the armhole, and I ironed out my zipper allowance. Then I sewed along the sides that I pinned. After that is done, it is time to stitch down the dart, and I measured from the center of the back 3.5 inches, which is my nipple to nipple measurement, and from the armhole to the end of the top, which I had 15 inches, and I removed 1 inch, making it 14 inches, and that's what I'm going to use to stitch down my dart. And now it is time to work on the sleeves. So I already have my fabric on a fold, and from the center I measured my armhole measurements plus 7 inches extra because this hand is going to be gathered. So I'm working with 13 inches. Then for the full measurement, my normal long sleeve is 27, but I'm working with 33 inches because of how the hand is. I just marked everything out, and then I cut it out as well as seen. So after all of that is done, I have some fabrics that I have cut out that is about 2 inches wide. And this is what I will be using for my elastic casing. So I went ahead to first of all fold the ends of my sleeve, then now I will be working on the casing. And right now I'm just arranging my fabric in place. So I folded this particular piece differently from the others, and this is for the top of the sleeve. Just watch what I'm doing if you're confused on what I am saying. I folded it into two, and this is because I'm going to be using it for the top of the sleeve. So from the first casing, which is at the top of the sleeve, I came down by 11 inches for my second casing, and then I just drew a line that connected all the dots so I'm not confused on where I marked, and then I just pinned down the casing there. Then I came down by 20 inches for my third casing rather, and then I pinned down the casing as well. And then I connected all my markings with a straight line so that I'm not confused on where I marked. And now I'm just pinning down the casing on the line I already marked out. and then I top stitch all the way around the pinned areas, and I did the same for the other hand as well. Whatever you do to one hand, you must do to the other. Please watch what I am doing so you do not get confused. Thank you. After all that is done for the both sleeves, I'm just kissing the two of them together, right sides facing each other. And the purpose of me doing this is for me to be able to get my armhole from my corset top. So I folded the sleeves together and placed my corset armhole at the top side of the sleeves, and then I cut out the armhole on the sleeves. Make sure to align them perfectly to avoid any mistakes. So after all of that is done, it is now time for us to pass our elastic through the casing. And the first elastic I'm working with, which is the top of the sleeve, was 10 inches long. So I'm just going to pass that through the casing with my safety pin. Please be very careful when you're doing this so you do not injure yourself. And for my second casing, the elastic I'm going to be working with is also 10 inches long, and I'm just going to pass that out with my safety pin as well. Please be very careful when you're doing this. Oh, and I forgot to mention that as I pass it through, I am using my office pin to hold it in place so that it doesn't, loosen up and then give me issues. So please make sure you're doing the same thing until you're ready to stitch it on the machine. Just use your office pin to hold it in place. And for my final casing, I'm using 7 inches long elastic. My black elastic finished. I had to make do what I had, which was the white one. So after passing all the elastic through the casing, I went ahead to make a stitch along the sides that was holding the elastic where I pinned earlier. Remember I said so. And then I just closed up my sleeve. I shaped it with that 1.5 inches allowance that I gave it. And then I'm just going to pin it to my corset top and sew along the pinned area. As you can see here, I'm just measuring the 1.5 inches stitching allowance to show you guys that that's exactly what I used, same as the top. So I pin it down now to this to the top, and I'm just going to make a stitch there. And ta-da, this is what it looks like. This is the end result. You guys, look at me rocking it. Come on. This was fun to make though, and I love the end result and how I'm looking snatched. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I don't know what you're waiting for, but please subscribe to the YouTube channel and be a part of the family. I love you guys so much. Bye.